Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Pop Go the Writers, where the stories are made up and the points don't matter.
Oh, darn. I've been keeping tally too.
I had a feeling you were, and I thought it
Yeah.
was time to break it to you. So,
Well, okay. Every time the theme song rolls, I feel like, I should be doing some kind of a 60s dance or something to it. Uh,
okay.
was that Kyle
Yeah,
track that one down?
yeah,
Kudos to Kyle.
Kyle put
You
that
enjoy it.
together. Though I'm still not sure why it's kind of flipped. Pop, uh, the Writers Go or something it is.
Nothing. Yeah. Uh, no idea. No idea.
Me
But
neither. So, Paul, you been doing anything fun this week?
I've been trying to write a script, not having much luck. Also, I've been chasing around, trying to find a place to put my car. I park on the street. When we have a snow emergency here, they go, move your car off the street. But there are no places around here that you can do that easily.
Uh-huh.
So I put it in a garage overnight one time, and then I parked where I'm not supposed to park behind my building because I'm pretty sure that there's nobody to complain about it right now. Um, yeah, but it was just like I hate getting stuck in that whole crazy thing. But like suddenly you're underlying your whole day, you're going like um but got together with a good friend, had some food and some conversation, so that was a plus. Anything great and exciting going on with you?
Well, let's see. I This is going to sound very old manish or old, but I started crocheting.
Ooh, very
This is
nice.
this is the first thing I've ever crocheted. So yeah, started that. I started it about a couple weeks back, and then stalled, but literally got one line done, and then I did the rest of that last night while listening to the director's commentary on Eternals.
Ah, I saw that they did a making of Hawkeye, making of Eternal, and making of Eternals. I haven't had a chance to check those out yet, but they look
Yeah,
good.
I've watched both of them. They're pretty good. A lot of the stuff in the assembled for the Eternals is on the Eternals Blu-ray disc,
Ah,
or yeah. So kind of 6 of one, half dozen. You don't need to watch both. They're
yeah.
kind of on both. So if you got the disc, don't worry about the one on Disney Plus, and vice versa. But there's some pretty interesting stuff, and you really get with the director's commentary the sincerity that they made this movie
Yeah.
and what they were going for. And I really believe that if you could put aside the expectations of what you think a Marvel movie is,
Mm-hmm.
it's a good movie.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I got back from seeing it, and people were like, "Blah!" And I thought, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
strokes, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but
I've heard a lot of people talk about, I saw it a second time and I liked it a lot better the second time.
and that's what those expectations will get you.
Yeah.
That when people are like, "Oh, it's going to be like, this," and it's like, no, it's not. It's going to be different. Otherwise, despite what wasn't it Francis Ford Coppola said something again
Yeah.
about, oh, every movie's a Marvel movie, and why do you need to remake the movie every time? And it's like, because they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other
Here's a
than
better
that,
idea. Francis, go make your movie, hype your movie, and that's it. Don't worry
yeah.
about what else is in the theater.
And come on, he's Francis Ford Coppola. No one is going, oh, we're not doing your movies because we're doing more Marvel movies.
Yeah. I mean, when he
It's
wants
not
to
like
do a
he has a
movie.
hard time.
Yeah.
So,
And the problem, but the bottom line is, what are people paying to go see?
yeah.
You look at this weekend. Critics panned Uncharted. Got a 39% on Rotten Tomatoes. The audience score is 89%.
Mm-hmm.
It made over 51 million it overachieved at the box office. It's made 139 million globally over the 2 weeks as it opened early in some places. It's basically a hit.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But
here's the thing.
yeah,
A lot of people don't seem to get. People really, really want feel good entertainment
yeah,
right now.
yeah,
You know, we've been going through this. We don't want to go and watch some gritty, emotionally turmoil. You know, there's something to be said at this point for like, man, I feel better coming out of that movie.
yeah. It's like when we had a lot of the world wars and stuff, horror movies did really well because people didn't want to deal with the reality. They wanted to deal with fantasy of some kind or another. You
Yeah,
know, that's why the
yeah,
Universal Pictures, the Universal Monsters did so well in the 30s and the 40s. And, you know,
yeah,
so, yeah. Uh,
yeah. Yeah,
uh,
I just think it's funny when they trot this stuff out, and you know, uh, probably they'll hit a point where you know superheroes, you know, pull a western, where they'll fade out and then just really, you know, they'll be made more sporadically.
you know,
I don't
I
see it
think
happening for a long time though.
my problem with that
Yeah,
is that Westerns are a genre. I mean, there are some variations. There's humorous westerns, but overall, there's some basic western tropes, you know. And then there was a lot of change when Unforgiven and Deadwood and stuff like that came out.
yeah,
You know, so you have your classic westerns. You could look at Silverado as a good example of that, and then you have the more recent ones. You know, you have your old spaghetti western stuff like that. But there's a basic uh, formula to them.
hmm
You don't get that as much because superheroes aren't a genre.
they're kind of weirdly they're like both a subgenre and an uber genre.
No, I'm not calling them a genre at all of any kind because superheroes are, in a sense, the same thing as cop movies. Okay. Police Academy and Training Day are both cop movies. Would you liken them to each other in any other way?
No, but you know, I mean, obviously, Training Day was a lot more funny,
Yeah.
but
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
Denzel Washington with the whole King Kong thing.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, but
No, but I mean, a lot of the superhero movies do share a bunch of tropes, but you are correct that it is it lends itself to um, uh, moving around in the. That's why I say it's sort of like a. Uh, it's got the superhero tropes,
mhm.
but it also has then the tropes of whatever genre that it's leaning into. So
You look at a
I
film
think
like
we're closer to the. I think we're closer in what we're getting at than our
yeah,
terminology. But
there are tropes that Marvel uses, and you look at movies like Ant-Man and stuff like that, where they have the bad guy is kind of a mirror of the hero, and you know you could
yeah,
go down the line and talk like that, but then you look at something like um, uh, Eternals.
hmm
No, it's none of the tropes that Marvel usually uses. You know, I mean, there is no clear-cut bad guy in that movie. Everybody is a shade of gray. Everybody has a reason for doing what they're doing, and it's not greed or whatever. Uh, Icarus, his whole thing is to honor that or to do his duty that he was sent to do, where the rest of them have changed and suddenly it's about doing what they think is right over doing what they're supposed to do. And then you have a character like Kingo who is kind of in the middle, like I love this
yeah,
planet, I love these people, but I think Icarus is right, and I'm not going to fight family, so I'm stepping out of it altogether. and then the deviants have their legitimate complaint that they were created and stuff like that. And then you got the Celestials who are like, you're saving these people, but by doing so, you're sacrificing all of the people we could make when this Celestial comes to life. So it's not a black and white, but it's still a Marvel Comics movie.
Sure.
You know?
I get you.
So yeah, that's why I don't think they're burning out as quickly as a lot of genres do, because they're changing constantly. You know, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness doesn't look like anything else Marvel has done. You know, Moon Knight is going to be very different than anything Marvel has done. Peacemaker, my God.
Yeah. By the way, did you wake up on Wednesday and kind of go, or maybe for you Tuesday night, you kind of go like, oh, there's nothing new on Disney Plus?
Yes.
I got up on Wednesday and I was like, oh, right, got to catch oh no, I don't have to catch the latest episode. There isn't one.
Yep.
Now I'm just going to have to eat breakfast and go on with my day.
I know. Now, the only thing that came out this week that I haven't watched yet is I haven't finished Vox Machina. So we will save that for next week, because we're going to need something to talk about next week anyway.
That's true. I will say just one thing. Son of a bitch, they brought me around. We'll go into that. We'll go into that more. But you know how much I was whining and complaining at the start.
Yeah.
I felt good at the end, since they were all dead and the whole world imploded. And
yes, I wanted them all dead, and they were. Yay!
Hey. No, I just thought that was, I gave them a lot of credit for that, because I was not really happy at the end, or at the beginning. So, but what do you think we should talk about?
Well, I think we should talk about Peacemaker. And we're probably going to do a shorter than normal episode tonight. So we're going to talk about Peacemaker and wrap it up. I'm dealing with a little bit of health stuff, so I don't think I got a full 90 minutes in me today. So we'll talk until we run out of stuff, and then we'll call it.
That sounds like a great idea.
Okay.
And I'll try not to keep chattering when we hit the...
The thing with Peacemaker, and you talked about it with Vox Machina, I wasn't on board with episode 1.
Yeah.
It was a painful first episode for me to watch. I don't like sitcoms. I don't like watching people be stupid. And that I don't find humor in that. So for me, the first episode of Peacemaker was just painful to watch.
Yeah.
And I had a real hard time getting through it. I watched the second episode because we were going to talk about it, and they put out 3.
Yeah.
If they had just put out 1, I don't know if I would have been able to get myself to go back.
Mm-hmm.
But because they put out 3, I watched the second episode, and him just trying to get out of that building was so painful, but in a way, in a different kind of way. It wasn't painful as in, stupid or uncomfortable. It was, he is trying so hard, and it's just not going well.
Yeah.
And I got a little more into that.
Thwarted at every turn. That, but not stupid.
Right.
It wasn't that he was thwarted because he was doing something dumb, other than perhaps trying to take the record collection.
Yeah. Yeah. And then throwing the record collection, I don't know how that was supposed to work.
Yeah.
Because every one of those records had to be broken.
That's what I'm saying. Every single one.
Yeah.
And then he puts one on at the end of the show, and I'm like, no, he's not. Not happening.
But the things that worked there were the oddness of the couple that he has to kidnap. Yes. And how the woman actually starts hitting on him, and how they pay that off in a couple different ways later on. It's like, wow. And it really goes to show what a good writer and storyteller James Gunn is. And I think that's the takeaway from this series, is just how remarkable James Gunn is. Because he's taken this character that you hate in Suicide Squad. It is not a likable character in the Suicide Squad.
Yes.
And I mean, the only time I had a good thing to say about Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad is the moment that he's with Bloodsport and Rick Flag, and they've just escaped from a truck that they'd been captured. And I remember thinking, wow, this is the most competent the Suicide Squad has ever been. Those three guys right there.
Yeah.
You know, not the most powerful, but the most competent.
Sure.
Yeah. So, yeah. Other than that, he turned on the team. I mean, all that stuff. He shouldn't have had a redemptive arc. And then when we get to him and we start learning more about him, he's not a redemptive character. At least it doesn't seem like it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they introduced his father, that is so bad.
Yeah, it's like, could you imagine growing up like with Idi Amin as your dad in a way?
Oh my God, yeah.
I just like
so brilliantly played by Robert Patrick.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
and at first I just thought he was a dick.
Yeah.
And then they kind of keep peeling back the layers on dear old dad, and you're like, oh man, it's amazing Peacemaker came out at all.
Yes. Yep. And just the scenes that he had with Detective Singh or Detective Song were fantastic, because how do you do those scenes? Because that Robert Patrick had to feel dirty just saying some of that stuff. Just like, and had to I am so sorry I said that. It's like, it's in the script. I know, but I said it. So it's,
Yeah.
So that was interesting to me. But they've taken these characters who there really isn't, on the surface, they're all pretty much losers.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing good about them. And by the end, by the finale, you literally care about all these characters.
Yeah.
I
don't think Harcourt was a loser, but she's certainly not someone easy to identify with.
Yes.
I felt like such an idiot, by the way. Just a quick aside, talking about caring about the characters and stuff. When I think Vigilantes, or somebody asked Adebayo, well, why is your last name Adebayo? And she's like, I took my wife's name. And I went, I was thinking, oh, well, maybe her dad's, she still uses her dad. And then I'm like, duh.
Yeah.
She took her spouse's name. People do that.
Yes.
I don't know why it just did not pop into my head.
It didn't me either.
Yeah, just like
I made the same assumption you did.
Yeah. And then it was what I loved about it, though, was at that moment you're like, how obvious was that?
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Yeah.
Boy, you're talking about not liking or not liking these characters.
Yeah, I mean, Vigilante is not a heroic character. He's a psychopath.
Yes.
Who has some of the weirdest quirks. I mean, even the fact that he can't go to the bathroom with anything touching his butt is not the weirdest thing about it.
And the fact that just, it's like completely does not get social cues, and you're just constantly going, "Oh, dude, no."
Yeah, but the post-credit scene where he's trying to get people, well, you should say it's sarcasm stuff, and he's going through all that stuff, and then he busts out the whole thing about Economos. He goes, I'm not worried at all that you're going to die because you're overweight, but I am worried, and it's like, that's kind of sweet.
Yeah, well, Economos is like, oh, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and the dye beard thing. Jesus. How that
Wow.
paid off.
Steve Agee.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, totally impressive on that thing, and
Yeah.
managed to keep it. There was so much of so many moments where people just verged. Like if he'd gotten slightly more emotional, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
Because the things
Butterflies.
would have been all over him. The butterflies would have been all over him. But he managed to keep it just there. And again, man, humans are pitiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then and every time they flash back to John Cena, it was like, again, the last two episodes, the emotional range on John Cena, it's like, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah.
You know? I mean, you before the series, you would have asked me, I would think he had the range of a Daisy air rifle.
Nice.
Thanks. But instead, I mean, the scene where he killed his dad, and then just all the stuff, just it's they pay off everything. Even the freaking jokes about the Justice League pay off because of the cameo.
F you, Barry.
Yeah. Yeah, and for DC to go, yeah, you can totally have Aquaman cursing. I'm fine with that. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
I did love how they had the stand-ins for Superman and Wonder Woman that you never get a clear look at, and then they actually have Momoa and oh God, whatever his name is. I can't.
Ezra Miller.
Yes, Ezra. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense because Ezra Miller and Jason Momoa are currently filming and doing stuff.
Sure.
While Gal Gadot and Henry Cavill are not currently in production on anything.
Right.
Or at least for Warner. But then it came out this week that the Ezra Miller part of it was not. Momoa and Miller were not at the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
Miller's thing was actually filmed by the crew for Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Really?
Yes. So Marvel filmed that part of the thing for them, or the Marvel crew.
It's boy, I hope he didn't build them. I hope Gunn, got the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just everybody had some really good moments where you were kind of like, no, dude, like Economos and his like leaving the bag on the stairs.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, dude, drop it down the center and then go.
Yeah.
And
what a great callback to the movie. Not another kaiju. Not another fucking kaiju. Yeah.
Oh God. And that thing with the one little tooth, like Sigmund and the Sea Monsters, was just I was like and poor Adebayo.
You knew someone was going to end up being the human torpedo as soon as they said human torpedo?
Yes.
Yeah. And is there a character called Human Torpedo?
There was a Marvel character called the Torpedo. And then there was a white guy and then an Asian teen who was on the New Warriors for a while.
Okay, and there was Red Torpedo.
There was a Red Torpedo?
In DC Comics, a guy called Red Torpedo.
Originally
published by Quality Comics.
I was going to say, was that the sidekick of Dogman?
I think he is another version that goes along with Red Tornado.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
But no Human Torpedo.
No, not that I'm finding.
Yeah. Did you have a moment, by the way, when the theme song kicked in and they start walking that you go like, wait, didn't they already do the opening?
Yes.
And then it's like, oh no, they're just using it. as
Yes.
part of the soundtrack. I felt kind of dopey. Like,
And then when they slowed it down because everybody was or getting
yeah,
shot, nobody dies. You know?
yeah. You know, I I mean, I know medical science is pretty amazing and all.
Mhm.
And like uh um and like okay, Vigilante got shot in the oblique. Um
Mhm.
but yeah, I couple of shotgun blasts made
Yeah.
me really think that Harcourt wasn't gonna get through.
Oh
Um
yeah. And I wonder if they weren't going to, but they filmed like two versions in case it got renewed, and they
yeah,
went, "Oh shit, we got a second season.
yeah.
Save Harcourt. Can't kill." You know, James Gunn's like, "I can't kill my girlfriend."
Unless she's like, I don't want to play this character again.
Yeah, and why would she not? I mean, it's a great character.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
But there were the with Vigilante, Peacemaker's a pretty great guy, but if there's one weakness, he tends to overestimate Eagly's abilities. Where it's like you finally like, oh my god, the Eagle is gonna do what they know.
No. Yeah.
And again, another Eagly moment where uh Adebayo explains to Harcourt that I saw an eagle hug a human, and I thought, maybe this is what I got to do. And she's like, "Why wasn't that a sign that you needed to run like hell?" And she's like,
Oh
"Fuck."
man. Yes. There were some really great lines in it.
Yeah,
The thing with where they're about to run in and Adebayo is like, "I'm going to go with you," and she's like, "No, you're our last chance." And Economos is like, "What the fuck am I?"
well, as we learned when he tried to go over the fence, you're a
Yeah.
clumsy doof, is
Yep.
what you are.
Though he has
Like,
kicked ass a lot in the series.
yes, and actually, when he turned out to be there, he had like crawled
Crawled
to
with the
be
helmet.
there.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, that's pretty badass.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah. Yeah, nobody got a bad role in this. Everybody turned out to be kind of a kick-ass character, you
yeah,
know? And then
except for Judo Master.
crying and eating flaming hot Cheetos. My God.
I'm not sure that's not why he was crying, but oh
uh,
god, in that moment where the butterfly is halfway down Harcourt's throat, and you think she might like be trying to get because her hand moves, and then just Adebayo ripping that
yeah.
thing out and shooting it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Adebayo going full John Wick was kind of
Yeah.
interesting.
I'm not made for this. I'm not made for this. I'm not made for this
Yeah.
because I was made for this.
Yes. And I
Um,
love that they actually got Viola Davis to show
yeah,
up just to say, "What the fuck?"
yeah. Like, I, I half wanted ads to go, "Hi, mom." Yes,
Oh,
I think she should be. You know, I love that she's like, "I'm calling for a full investigation." You can't really.
yeah. Who
Yeah,
are you
you're not.
calling it from? You know?
Yeah. You don't really. I, you know, I suggest, but you can't really. But yeah,
Yeah, that
and the
whole.
and
Go ahead.
oh no, go.
Yeah, that whole thing was kind of interesting. I was surprised that they went that route because it's like they could have done everything else and not. She could have come out and said, "Oh, the diary was fake," da da da, and not outed her mom. It's kind of surprising that she went that far.
Mm.
You know.
I thought it was interesting. She said it was Belle Reve prison, which is how I always pronounced it,
Uh-huh.
and everybody always pronounces it Belle Rev.
Oh, I've always pronounced it Belle Reve.
Yeah. I think in both of the Suicide Squad movies, I think they said Belle Rev.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought that was kind of, I mean, obviously not a big deal, but
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
But yes, just start to finish, I thought it was solid. It's what was it? It's not like we just killed the only guy who knows how to make those, but we did.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is what brought on the whole sarcasm thing.
Yeah.
But I just, the moment where Vigilante, sees the Adebayo's announcement on the screen, and then gets out of his hospital bed and just drops out of the window.
Yes. That is such a weird character.
Yeah, and certainly not how I ever would have expected Vigilante to be played.
Right. But now it's hard to see him another way.
Yeah.
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 So,
well, I guess when you start off as a busboy instead of starting off as a DA, things play out differently.
Yeah, he went from being basically a Punisher clone to being almost a Deadpool clone.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just it was odd. And when they also had such a serious vigilante in the Arrowverse,
Right.
where he was very much the vigilante that you expect.
Yeah.
And
but they changed it up there too, because Adrian Chase was actually Prometheus, and they went a different person was so.
Yeah,
I guess nobody actually just wants to do Adrian Chase as Adrian Chase, as he was in the comics.
Yeah,
which was a character I really liked when it came out, and I remember reading the books and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Didn't he showed up? Yeah, so that's another Wolfman Perez character, because he was from
Titans,
and then spun off into his own book, which went for quite some time.
Yeah, I think it was close to 50 issues.
Yeah. So, it is interesting that that there seemed to be a lot more leeway with the shows. So, although the Suicide Squad movie that spawned the Peacemaker show was very much of a piece with this.
Yeah, I would like for DC and Warner Brothers to actually figure out what they're doing and stop being all over the place. Because we get Justice League from Snyderverse at the end there. It's like, okay, are we keeping that? Or where are we going with this? Are we changing everything with Flashpoint? Are we going to get something completely different? Just pick a lane. Figure out what you're doing and let us know.
Yeah. Yeah. Just two things in a row that feel the same. Or feel like they're actually in the same setting.
Well, I guess that was Suicide Squad and then this.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
Excellent.
From now on, James Gunn is the new Kevin Feige for Warner Brothers.
There we go. There we go. While also working for Marvel.
I think Guardians is going to be his last thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think he's going to go back because he's not going to do another Guardian after that. So he's wrapping up what he wants to do with Guardians. So
yeah. Well, I'm not gonna gripe seeing him doing stuff wherever. Including his own stuff.
Yeah. One of the things that really got me was there was a look on John Cena's face right after they get the helmet back. He's just killed his ghost dad again. And Harcourt's like, there's something I need you to do. And then we see that when he walks up and just stabs the guy in the ear. Yeah. That look on his face was like, oh, yeah, he's a stone cold killer.
Yeah.
When there's no question that the things need to be killed, he's your guy. He's going to do what needs to be done.
Yeah, well, and I think that they did a decent job of establishing, though, that once the once the butterflies go in, they don't, you can't take them out
Yeah.
and have the person be okay.
Yeah.
So, he's much more relaxed these days with killing an alien invader than he
Yeah.
is with a plain old person.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I don't think Detective Song or whatever the other guy's name is are going to be back.
Fitz something.
Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Yeah. They're not coming back.
Yes.
Nor is Captain Locke, who, oh my God, if you get a chance, Gunn released on Twitter today a 9-minute gag reel for the series.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it is just Locke making faces. That guy is insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't mean the character, I mean the actor. That guy is crazy.
Yeah. Well, he is he's definitely he has an expressive face.
He does. He
But
absolutely does.
I've been a fan of his for I would actually say since Sanctuary, because his character on Stargate Atlantis was kind of just, I mean, he was fine in the role, but the character didn't have much to do.
I don't think I've ever recognized him in a character before. That's the first time he's actually stood out to me. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he's crazy. That guy is just nuts.
Yeah. But I mean, just there were so many outstanding performances. Like I loved how Detective Goth, to blend the personas, was so the actress was so great, mm-hmm. getting that emotion and saying, I don't think, I think if you hear me, you're going to, you're going to be with me on this. Mm-hmm. And then it was just like, nope.
Yeah,
but,
nope.
But her impassioned plea, and it turning out to be not quite as simple as Myrn made it.
Yeah.
I thought she did a fantastic job with that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think just from where we started to where we ended was such a journey. Mm-hmm. that I didn't think, I mean, I'm in awe. As a writer, I'm in awe of what James Gunn pulled off and what these actors did and the story they've crafted. Just phenomenal. And
I still don't think they should have used so many naughty words.
I wonder if this is going to be maybe controversial, but perhaps they shouldn't do a second season. Because everything was so pitch perfect on this season. Can they do it again?
Yeah, that's going to be, and especially since you don't have, necessarily another world ending. If you keep doing, especially when you're doing world-ending threats, mm-hmm. with pretty much normal people as, normal human characters.
Yeah.
Yes, you get your Batmans who are pretty astounding and can go, fight with the Justice League. But on the whole, they don't have any superpowers.
Right.
And, once you get into this, again, this world endangering situation, it kind of feels like, how many times can you do, and, because this was, they did pretty much identify it as a Suicide Squad, mm-hmm. Sub team, or at least a Task Force X operation.
Yeah.
So, and so, yes, in Suicide Squad, what was it? I guess, really it was King Shark, Polka Dot Man, and kind of Ratcatcher that had powers. But again, it was, mostly people who don't. And like, how many times can you go back to the Kaiju well?
Yeah, well, don't forget the detachable kid is supposed to be alive.
Who is?
The detachable kid? James Gunn has
Oh,
said that Nathan Fillion's character is alive.
so Polka Dot Man.
No, the detachable kid.
Oh,
Nathan
Fillion's
Fillion's
character.
character. Yeah.
Oh, Fillion's character's still alive.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I'd forgotten.
David Dastmalchian's character is squished. That's
Yes.
done.
Yeah. Unless he went into the secret polka dot dimension, reemerges.
That's
Polka
possible.
dottier than before.
There you
But
go.
yes. Yeah, it's funny because I narrowed it down, so I like only think of the characters that that we ended up seeing for the bulk of the movie. I totally kind of like partitioned off all the other characters as like so. But yeah, I did think it was kind of interesting that well, they had two costume guys, but it was just two gunslingers again, and nobody else with any superpowers.
Yeah.
So except maybe Eagly.
True.
Yes, the superpower of being able to hug a human.
Yes, and attack humans. He kicks some ass.
He did. Yeah. And yeah.
Yep.
People were not happy in the aftermath.
All right, so if they do a second season, do you want them to go smaller, go something a little more human level? Do you want them to go big again? What and do you want them to add people to the team?
I would not mind them adding people to the team, although I don't have any particular person except maybe Twilight Sparkle Green Arrow.
Green Arrow in season 2 would be amazing, especially if they got Stephen Amell.
Yeah. Or hey, Justin Hartley's available now.
Well, the reason Stephen Amell, I say, because Amell, a journalist posted about the scene with still shots of him saying that shit about Green Arrow and said, I wonder what Stephen Amell says about this. And Amell wrote back, haven't seen it. I'm too busy showing John Cena what wrestling is really supposed to look like on television.
Nice.
So he's doing the wrestling hype thing.
Yeah.
So it's like having him show up on season 2 would be awesome. And I totally could see Amell coming in for that.
Sure. I just referenced Hartley because, sometimes people have forgotten that he was the first live action Green Arrow.
Yes. But that wasn't the first time he was a superhero.
No, because he did the Aquaman pilot.
Right. Which was supposed to be Alan Ritchson, because he was Aquaman on Smallville, but then they didn't think the bigwigs at the WB didn't think he was a big enough name to carry his own series, and Hartley came off of Passions, and they went, "Oh, we'll give it to this guy instead."
Well, those are always those. What would have happened if?
Yep.
But I think I would kind of like to see them go smaller and a little more human.
Mm-hmm.
And here's why. Because although Vigilante is still like, kill, Peacemaker is now has now kind of rediscovered a new
morality,
appreciation for life.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember the exact line from Grosse Pointe Blank. I've either developed a newfound appreciation for the sanctity of life, and there was something else, and now I'm kicking myself for not being able to remember. But yeah, he's got that now. This thing where he does, he no longer will kill as many women, children, and men as Yeah, for peace.
All right. As a writer, you're James Gunn. You got season 2 coming up. Season 1, you've done hints at a romantic relationship between Harcourt and Peacemaker. Do you continue that in season 2? Do you get to the point where you write an actual sex scene for your girlfriend and John Cena?
No, but not out of jealousy,
Uh,
because I think it would be a great dynamic to have those characters be exes and have to work together again.
hmm.
Like they got together, they realized, oh no, we have strong feelings, and there was this whole thing, but we're not, they're I don't think Harcourt and Peacemaker are a good fit.
What
And then
if
you
you
have this.
say, what if you go even stranger and you have an after battle thing where they all get drunk and Harcourt ends up sleeping with Vigilante? Then you end up with this really weird dynamic. And
Yeah.
Peacemaker finds out about it.
Or see, I was going to say maybe she ends up dating Economos. So he doesn't have to dye his beard anymore. No offense.
None taken.
But yeah, that's an awfully weird situation to be in. But
yeah.
I suppose if you're confident and believe in your relationship, you can do anything.
Yeah. But it's not like John Cena's a bad looking guy.
I think he's a mug. I mean, he's not ugly, but he's not. Sorry, Mr. Cena. I'm just saying he's not classically handsome.
No. But you can tell how Gunn feels of the security of his relationship if she ends up in a relationship, if Harcourt ends a relationship with Peacemaker or Economos.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, this is how we'll know.
Yes.
So either that or they bring in some hyper handsome, super handsome guy.
Yeah.
Like a almost probably not Booster Gold because they've got plans for him, but kind of that kind of guy. And
I would love to see them bring in specifically Green Arrow.
Yep.
Stephen Amell.
Yep.
Because then you have that dynamic and you have Peacemaker having to deal with an actual hero where he's always just thought he was a hero and he puts down these other heroes because people don't call him a hero. So why the one frame thing he had was when he busted Kite Man, because that was when they called him a hero.
Yeah.
So bringing an actual comic book hero onto the team, I think would be a very interesting dynamic. And especially if they have to go up against something, I'd love to see them go up against something like, again, following in the Arrow idea, Ra's al Ghul and the League of Shadows.
Yeah.
Or League of Assassins.
Or like, well, it depends. It's the League of Assassins or the League of Shadows or, the Bowling League or something. Yeah. There's all sorts of, they could go Intergang or the 100 or I'm trying to think of some of the other, because there's so many like cool, weird organizations.
Well, the only reason I thought of League of Shadows is because A, Green Arrow has a history with them.
Sure.
But B, faceless
it's
ninjas.
Batman's history, but sure.
Yeah, faceless ninjas. Easier to shoot, easier just to reuse the same stuntmen.
Yeah.
Here, put a hat on. Okay, go again. Here, carry a sword instead of a staff. Okay, go in again. Yeah.
Yep. So. Well, maybe they just get the stuntman for Vigilante to play all of the League of.
Well, I heard Freddie Stroma did all his own stunts. The funny thing is that if you watch the blooper reel,
yeah,
and I heard this, James Gunn said that Freddie Stroma stayed in character or stayed in the American accent through filming. So when John Cena heard his real accent after they were completely done, it surprised him. But I thought, yeah, right. But in all the blooper stuff, whenever he breaks up, he stays in the American accent.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. He's like the British Renee Zellweger. Because in Bridget Jones, everybody was like, wait, she's not actually British?
Oh, okay.
I
did not know that.
Most of the people, because most English actors make a point of saying, well, it's not hard for us to do an American accent because there's so much American media.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Americans are not exposed to a British accent on the regular.
Unless you watch Doctor Who and Masterpiece Theater and Sherlock Holmes.
But it's not as,
an Anglophone,
all-encompassing as, we have Hollywood, which is the big worldwide, thing. But I mean, if I was going to do a British accent, I would probably find one that was close to what I wanted and just listen to it 24/7.
Absolutely.
Because I was much better at a British accent when I used to talk to my friend Lee Barnett, known on the net as Budgie. When I talked to him, well, I used to talk to him fairly regularly, every month or so on the phone, and I could more or less do his accent, and it was fairly good. But it's kind of like my Christopher Walken impression. It takes a nosedive if I'm not doing it very often. And then you go back and you think, oh, I'm good with this impression, and the next thing you're like, oh, I am Christopher Walken. Damn, that sucked.
For me, doing impressions, it really comes down to a trigger. Because if it's, I've never been able to do Christopher Walken, but there's certain accents, like British accent stuff, you can just roll into. But people like Reagan or Clinton or something like that,
sure,
if you've got a trigger phrase, then you can get into it easier. Like, the word well for Reagan. Everybody goes, well, Nancy and I are out here. Wait, where the hell are we? Nancy? It's not that hard to get into a Reagan because there's that trigger.
Yeah, which is why so many of us sounded like Dana Carvey's version of, say, George H.W. Bush, because he had gone and found exactly, the thing.
Do it wouldn't be prudent.
1,000 points of light.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually the one that I can slip into is John Cleese in Silverado. Actually, today my jurisdiction ends here. It's just like, I don't much like that word, Carter. But that was, you idiot. He's hit everything he's aimed at.
Yep. I think the accent we're all going to try to pick up on next month is going to be whatever the hell Oscar Isaac is doing for Stephen Grant. Because that is not an accent. I mean, I don't know where that came from.
It's just kind of drift. It seems like it's kind of drifting.
Well, I was watching Mary Poppins and thought, oh, let's go with this. The chimney sweep. That'd be a great one.
The one that I really love, though, when Craig Ferguson said, well, if you want to learn how to say Michael Caine's name like Michael Caine, you just say my cocaine.
Yes.
It's like, oh my God, it's true.
Yes, it is. Oh God, I miss Craig Ferguson. I
Oh,
love that
so
guy.
much. I mean, it's not like he's not there. He's around,
But
but
there really was that decompression that I've made it through a day when that song came on. It's hard to
dun,
stay up
dun,
within the
dun,
long,
dun,
long
dun.
day. And you got the Sandman at your door. Hang on, leave the TV on, and let's do it anyway. It's okay. And he
Yep.
wrote them, sang that song. And, you
Played
had
the
that.
drums on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I fell in love with the song he did on his final episode, the Dead Man Falls song,
Oh
Bang Your
God,
Drum.
I've still yeah. I went out and bought it that
Yeah.
that day. Um,
When my grandmother passed away, the day she passed away, I had gone out to the car and I had it on my phone, and my phone took over the
yeah,
radio in my truck, and I started it up, and that song came on, and I played that probably 10, 12 times over because it was
yeah,
just that what I needed at that moment.
yeah.
It is such
I
a amazing
definitely.
song.
But yeah, so he, and they the slogan they came up with probably in year 5 or 6 was truly not like any other late night show,
Hmm.
and it was so true.
Yeah,
I loved. There were two things I loved. One, when somebody who didn't get it was a guest who kept on like trying to, but can we promote my movie now?
yeah,
And he's just like, and they tended to be the ones that did not come back, either because he was like, no, or they were like, oh no, he had a gay robot skeleton.
yeah,
Um, and then also well, actually, the ones who didn't get it, the ones who really got it, and then whenever he had somebody from Scotland,
yeah.
because as the interview would go on, they became less intelligible to the audience.
Yes, yes. Or if he got to get anybody from Doctor Who on, because he
Yes,
loved Doctor Who, and I really wish they would have gotten him on to when Peter Capaldi
right.
was the Doctor, because the two of them being in a band together
Yeah.
back in the
And
day. So
yes, and the fact that they used to geek out over the
yeah,
Doctor. Uh,
yeah,
but I mean they had a good interview with him, with
yeah,
Capaldi, but it was well before he got the gig.
yeah,
You just
yeah.
want him like, here, Craig, we're just going to bring you back for a special, like BBC America. What a missed opportunity! You
I
could have
know, I
had
know.
Craig interview him.
Yeah, or just to have Craig come on as a guest in one episode would have been fantastic. By the way, this is Gallifrey weekend, the big weekend in LA for Doctor Who fans. The convention goes on this weekend. I've been there a couple times. I didn't make it this year, but
Yeah,
it is a lot of fun.
yeah. A friend of mine Kelly Yates draws for the Doctor Who comics,
Hmm.
and he did a Captain Jack um, full color illustration signed by John Barrowman,
I saw
and
that today. Yeah,
yeah, sold for charity.
yeah.
So
By the way,
very
if
nice.
you are a fan of Doctor Who, they just wrapped up a comic series. Titan does Doctor Who
Hmm.
comics, and it was an interesting mix because it had the 11th Doctor and the 8th Doctor and two Rose Tylers in the comic series.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that was an interesting mix to see the three of them together. And it was written by Jodie Houser and
Oh
really
yeah,
well done. So I
yeah.
really liked that a lot. So if you're looking for a good comic series for the Doctor Who, the one that just completed, you could probably pick it up individual issues, or the trade will probably be out very soon. So
Oh
we're a
my
little.
God, we just recommended a comic
I know.
that neither one of us worked on.
I know. Isn't that amazing?
That is crazy talk.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Boy,
Well,
we veered way off of Suicide Squad
yeah.
or of Peacemaker there.
I'm actually going to recommend one more comic.
Oh,
The
definitely
first
do.
5 issues just came out in trade. 6 just hit the stand. It is Colin Bunn's run on Shadow Man for Valiant.
Yeah.
It is fantastic. If you want to read something superhero-y without all of the history and stuff that you need to read anything Marvel or DC and the 37 issues that you got to cross over with, but don't want to deal with all that, check out Shadow Man. Both Shadow Man right now and the new Harbinger series are both fantastic right now over at Valiant.
So Dan suggests.
That's right. I
And
do
you
that on
will
Tuesday
obey.
night. Yeah, I do that on Tuesday nights with Kyle. We do in stores this week, and
Yeah.
those are some of the books that I have consistently been enjoying. That I am lucky enough to have them send me review copies, so I get to read them and
Nice.
just really have been enjoying those. So, and there's some stuff that I get sent that it's like, oh God, really? I got to read it again.
Yeah.
But if it's something good, I'm going to tell you guys. So,
I have actually been very much enjoying Marvels, the Marvels.
Kurt Busiek,
Kurt Busiek and oh, shoot, I'm not going to be able to.
Yadar.
Yadar, yes.
Yadar.
Who I first saw his work, I believe, on Dynamo 5 with Jay Farber.
Right.
But I've been really enjoying that because yes, you see the characters and they kind of reference what's going on, but it's very much its own story. And so I like that. And also, and I'll be the 3,950th person to recommend this on a podcast, probably closer to 3 million. But the new Nightwing is just, it's gorgeous, and it's a good story. And other than a brief hiccup during the fear something, which I was not happy with, but it's a very good book. So
I'm going to throw one more out there. It's a little more obscure. It's by Christopher Cantwell. It's a book called The Matter of Oswald's Body.
Oh yeah.
And I think I'm 5 episodes issues into it, and it's all about Oswald, Lee Harvey Oswald, and but it's the conspiracy behind that, and it is a really interesting story from a completely different take on it. So if you like conspiracies, you want to read something different, check out The Matter Regarding Oswald's Body from Boom Studios. So, hey, we're doing comic recommendations. This is kind of cool.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah. This is something new.
One last one, and this I'll say up front. This is from a buddy of mine. There's a book. Oh, come on, Paul. Now you're gonna blank on the title of the book, called Blacksmith. Is that right? Yes, it is. It's about a lady who is both a detective and a werewolf. And the first story arc has just finished up and has been collected in trade. I think it's due out. The trade's due out in comic shops very soon. I really enjoyed it. It's it's like the Rockford Files with supernatural creatures.
Nice.
So Eric Palicki is the author, Leanna Kangas is the cover artist, and Wendell Cavalcanti is the publisher penciler on them. So
nice.
Something to look out for. And again, always good to support indie books. And that came out from Ahoy Comics.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we should be wrapping it up. Anything else we should recommend? Right now, if you're an audio listener, I am finishing up The Killing Floor, which is the first Jack Reacher novel by Lee Childs, which is really good. If you're a Jack Reacher fan, checked out the series. It's good. It's worth going back and listening to the book or reading the book. Also, next up, I'm going to be listening to Agatha Christie's Death on the Nile, read by Kenneth Branagh. So I've already done
heard of him.
Yes. I've already, when Murder on the Orient Express came out, they put out a version read by him. They've done the same with Death on the Nile. So I'll be finishing up one tonight and probably starting the next one tomorrow.
Very nice.
I'm a big audio guy. I love the audiobooks. When we did, we're doing Dynamite books over with Dynamite. Most of the books we put out have audio versions, whether it's the SEAL Team 6 books we did, the Vampirella books, both Nancy Cullen's Vampirella book that we put out, or the one I wrote, have audio versions out there. We didn't do an audio version for The Boys because of contracts. There's another company doing an audio version of the trade.
Yeah.
But if you're a Boys fan, check out The Boys novel that I wrote. It's based off of the comics, not off of the TV series. And if you're not a comic reader, but you like The Boys, this is a way to kind of, because the first story in The Boys comics is not the one we see on the TV. It's a different team they go up against first. So it's a deeper dive into it than you get in the comics as well. So yeah, now I'm just throwing shit out there, but
well, it was a good bunch of shit.
Yes. So
all right. And so I think we'll let you go and get some rest.
Thank you.
And I could probably use a little of that myself.
Mm-hmm. We're going to be doing some interesting shows over the next few weeks as we wait for Moon Knight. So next week we'll talk about Vox Machina. And also I've been contemplating trying something out where you and I do a versus. We take a Marvel and a DC character who are somewhat similar. We give a little bit of history. We take one each. We give a history, and then we discuss which one would be able to beat the other, why one is better than the other. For instance, if I took Green Arrow and you took Hawkeye, or something like that.
Gotcha. The answer is, of course, Captain America beats everybody.
Fair enough.
I'm like Cap is like most people, hardcore comic fans are about Batman.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, Batman could beat anybody as long as he plans. I'm like, Captain America doesn't need to plan. Yeah. He's got it all up here. He's got strategy and tactics. He can do it on the fly.
Daredevil can beat everybody. He just turns out the lights.
Yeah.
That
wouldn't work with everybody. Daredevil turns out the lights, and Dr. Midnight says, "Thank you."
That would be a fun one. Dr. Midnight versus Daredevil.
Yeah. So, but okay. Well, that's something to think about. And I'll be able to tell you what things were like at the Great Lakes Comic Con, which I'll be doing next Friday or this coming Friday and Saturday.
Very nice. Look forward to hearing about that.
It's Sunday. That's this week.
Yeah. If you take some pictures, what we can do is if you take the pictures, send them to me. We can run them during the show.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do that if I remember, because I'm the worst when it comes to that. I get home and I go, oh, I could have taken pictures at the convention.
Yeah, but now you have a reason to before your show. So,
well,
all right, we're going to wrap it up.
Yes, that's a good idea.
At this point, it's our show. So we're going to wrap it up here. Hope you all have a great week. We will see you soon. Will it be March by the time we see each other again?
No, because it'll be the 26th. Next Sunday is the 6th.
Okay. So. All right. We'll see you all next weekend. Have a good night. Be